I wish a big book with all the answers to every question in the world would drop out of the sky and land in my hand right now. I'd read it till I knew everything.
Oh, Richard, you can't know everything. Only God knows everything.
God, he can't find us any better than Santa Claus.
The Blue Lagoon is a 1980 coming-of-age drama film directed by Randall Kleiser, based off of the 1908 novel of the same name. The film would find negative reviews from critics, but would become one of the highest-grossing movies of 1980. Around 1900, two cousins, 9-year-old Richard Lestrange, played by Glenn Cohen, and 7-year-old Emmeline Lestrange, played by Elva Josephine, are traveling with Richard's father, Arthur, played by William Daniels.
What's gotten into you, Richard? Bad enough to endanger yourself, but to encourage Emmeline.
I'm sorry, Father.
I know you want to have fun. All I'm trying to do is get us all to San Francisco in one piece.
Will Mommy be coming to San Francisco?
I don't believe so, Richard.
I told you, once they go to heaven, they don't come back. Isn't that right, Uncle Arthur? My Mommy and Daddy haven't come back.
Because God wants them to stay and do his work.
Taking a sea trip from Boston, Massachusetts to San Francisco, California, a fire breaks out on the ship. The kids make it to a lifeboat alongside galley cook Patty Button, played by Leo McKern.
Emmeline!
Uncle Arthur!
There they are! Where?
Captain, over here!
Hello! Hello!
Father!
Don't go shouting both at once. I won't know which way to steer. Longboat ahoy, where are ya?
The three find themselves separated and shipwrecked on a beautiful tropical island in the South Pacific. After Patty explores one side of the island, he wanders towards the other side and finds an altar with bloody remains from human sacrifices. He forbids the children from ever going to the other side of the island.
Richard, Emmeline, I want you both to promise me something. I want you both to promise me that you will never go over to the other side of the island.
Why, Patty?
Why? Because I tell you, that's why. There's nasty things go on over there, see? There's vile, evil, sinister things.
Like what? Yes, Mr. Button. Like what?
Well, for a start, that's where the boogeyman lives.
A boogeyman?
You know what law is? Good. Well, from now on, that's the law, see? No one goes over to the other side.
Patty, enjoying barrels of shipwrecked rum, also warns Richard and Emmeline against eating non-edible tropical berries, which he calls never-wake-up berries.
Take them things out of your mouth! Come on, open your mouth. Open your mouth. Take them out of your mouth. Spit them out. Go on. Well, don't cry. I ain't mad at you. But if you eat them berries, you go to sleep. You'll never wake up again. They're never-wake-up berries, do you see?
Patty dies after a drunken binge, and the kids rebuild their home on a different part of the island. As they reach puberty, Emmeline, now played by Brooke Shields, finds herself physically attracted to Richard, now played by Christopher Atkins.
What are you looking at?
Your muscles.
What about it? You're really acting silly lately, Em. Always saying dumb things like that. Always looking at me funny. You're not coming down with something, are you?
Richard also begins to find himself attracted to Emmeline.
What are you doing?
What do you want?
Why won't you talk to me?
Just leave me alone!
After a ship appears for the first time in years, Emmeline does not try and signal, telling Richard that the island is now their home and they shall remain there. Emmeline also reveals that she knows about Richard's whacking off.
I've seen you playing with it. And I'll tell your father if he ever gets here.
You?
I've seen it all. What happens after you've been doing it a long time?
Shut up! That isn't fair peeking. I don't peek on you.
That's a lie. You're always staring at my puppies.
Only 'cause they look so funny. You know what you look like now, Em? You look like one of those pictures Patty had in his drawer. One of his hoochie-coochie girls.
I do not.
Hoochie-coochie, hoochie-coochie.
Stop that, Richard, or I'll never talk to you again.
Hoochie-coochie, hoochie-coochie. See him jiggle, wiggle, a check.
Oh, Richard, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to hit you.
I wish you were dead and buried.
Emmeline steps on a venomous stonefish, nearly dying. As she recovers, the two spend time together and notice their sexual attraction to each other. Life finds a way, and they discover sexual intercourse. Neither one recognizes what is happening when Emmeline becomes pregnant, but she eventually gives birth to a baby boy, whom they name Paddy. Will the two remain on the island forever, or will they eventually be rescued from the Blue Lagoon? This movie is a loose adaptation of the novel of the same name by Henry de Vere-Skapel, which was published in 1908. This was the second movie directed by Randall Kleiser after the hit 1978 musical, Grease. The movie was filmed on the privately owned island of Nanayu-Lavu in Fiji, as well as Turtle Island in the summer of 1979. While viewing this movie, John Gibbons, a herpetologist at the University of the South Pacific, realized that the iguanas that appeared in the movie were a distinct species that had never before been seen or documented by experts in the field. Afterwards, he visited the Fiji island where the movie was filmed and named the species the Fiji crested iguana. Leo McKern put a live crab into his mouth and waited a few moments after he heard action, opened his mouth, and had the crab crawl out. There were no special effects or trick photography. At the time of filming, Brooke Shields was 5'10" and Christopher Atkins was 5'6". In order to make the movie so that Brooke Shields wouldn't tower over Christopher Atkins, Shields walked in shallow trenches that had been dug into the beach to make her appear shorter. Christopher Atkins would later describe the experience as like having the Statue of Liberty standing behind him. Auditioning for the role of Emmeline included Rosanna Arquette, Linda Blair, Jodie Foster, Daryl Hannah, Tatum O'Neal, Michelle Pfeiffer, Kelly Preston, Molly Ringwald, Kathleen Turner, and Sean Young. Jennifer Jason Leigh, who was 17 years old at the time, was the first choice for the female lead, and she didn't have any issues with being naked. However, her father allegedly made her turn down the lead role because he didn't want her to do the nudity. Sean Penn lost out to Christopher Atkins on the final day of auditions. Matt Dillon turned down the role because of the on-screen nudity. Lou Diamond Phillips, who was 17 years old at the time, and Molly Ringwald, who was 11 years old at the time, both auditioned for the two lead roles, and they even screen tested together. The nude scenes depicting Brooke Shields were actually done by a body double. Brooke Shields always had to have her hair glued to her breasts for the other scenes. Christopher Atkins was 18 years old, so he did all of his own nude scenes. The movie remains one of the most controversial releases of the 20th century. The movie not only hit headlines when it was released, but it led to a government inquiry, and Brooke Shields was called to testify before the United States Congress. She confirmed that body doubles had been used for any naked scenes involving her, and her breasts were always covered by hair or clothing. Critics absolutely hated this movie, and the film ended up being included on Roger Ebert's most hated list.
One of the most offensive things about the film is the way it pretends to be so wholesome and natural, while all the time, let's face it, it's exploiting nudity and sexuality. This movie is about as innocent as those old nudist camp documentaries that pretended they were about fresh air and volleyball.
Well, I don't think it's as bad as you think it is, but I will say that you have picked the worst element of the film, which is that holier-than-thou attitude that we are now going to see sex treated in an honorable way. This is plain peekaboo stuff. We're waiting throughout the picture for Brooke Shields' clothes to fall off, and some people are waiting for Christopher Atkins' clothes to fall off. I mean, there's really nothing else there. This is not a tender love story, as far as I'm concerned. It's a bad thriller in terms of what's going on that island, and it also plays peekaboo with sex. So I found it actually a very immature film.
I'll say one thing about this film. They advertised it in Parents Magazine and Reader's Digest, saying, "Parents, send your kids to see all this wholesome, natural sex." I know when I was 13, I would have loved to see this film, and not necessarily for the same reason as the editors of Parents Magazine.
Nevertheless, audiences responded with huge box office amounts in the summer of 1980, and The Blue Lagoon grossed a total of $58.8 million on a budget of just $4.5 million. This made The Blue Lagoon one of the top 10 highest-grossing films of 1980 in the United States. President Jimmy Carter screened this movie at the White House on May 23, 1980. I remember hearing about this movie when I was a young teenager, and I rented it from the video store on VHS around 2002 or 2003. I only saw it one time, and I watched it a second time in the year 2025. What I found interesting is that watching it over a 20-year period, I never forgot the movie after just one viewing. This is the type of film that you can see one time, and whether you like it or not, you never have to see it again. You can't forget it. It's just such an odd, memorable film. The Never Wake Up Berries. Brooke Shields making fun of Christopher Atkins beating his meat and hitting him in the head with a coconut. You can't forget it. I actually don't think this movie is as bad as many critics claim, and I'll go ahead and give it 7 stars. Due to this movie's memorability, I recommend The Blue Lagoon.